Why I do what I do. I was born in 1968 to Sharon and Mike Dowd. I was the third son born. I was born about a year and a half after their oldest son, Lanny, who was 6 years old, drowned in a swimming pool. The death of my oldest brother before I was born caused my family to have great dysfunction, and my dad became a violent alcoholic. I was born into this family, and there was a lot of trauma between my brother, my father, and my mother. I don't remember much around that time, but I do remember that when I was 4 years old, my father pulled a gun on my mom, and within seconds, she screamed and was in the bedroom grabbing myself and my brother. And she put us in our station wagon and drove us out to a field on a cold winter's night in Colorado. We slept in the back seat while she kept the car running to keep us warm. I remember looking up at her and just realizing something tragic had happened. She stepped into her fear. With no job and no money the next day, she kicked him out of our lives. We had the car and the house, but no money. She worked 3 jobs to keep a roof over our head. I remember her crying all the time and great stress. I told her, someday, Mom, I'll be rich and take care of you. Although I'd flunked kindergarten and learning disabilities, I'm sure she didn't believe that would happen. But I wanted to take care of my mom. I knew money was the problem, and I wanted to make the money. Growing up without a father was a struggle. I remember as a little boy, my hero, because I was picked on so much, was Bruce Lee, and I wanted to be like him. I told my mom I wanted to join the martial arts, and she told me she couldn't afford it. She told me to get a job, and I got one washing dishes at 12 years old, and I worked very hard to pay my way into Taekwondo. When I was in class, I didn't play like the other kids. I focused and got good. Got my black belt at 16 and started my own business as a Taekwondo instructor. I became the youngest instructor in Colorado, and I loved the martial arts. I loved impacting lives, and I loved what I did. That made me some money, but I still struggled in school. I was still depressed and had a very low self-image. I didn't know what to do after high school, but a movie came out in 1986 called Top Gun. So I decided to join the Air Force. I thought I'd be traveling the world, and they told me I would have this great career, but I ended up in Omaha, Nebraska as a civil engineer. I didn't enjoy the Air Force. I felt like I was very controlled, and I fought it all the way through. But I did get out with an honorable discharge. Before I got out, however, somebody talked to me about having my own business. It turned out to be a multi-level marketing company. Although I got deeply into debt in this business, I started to read books. And the first book I read was Think and Grow Rich. The first book I read at 19 years old. It changed my life. I began to work on myself, self-help, reading books, going to trainings, and I got deeply into debt. When I left the Air Force, I moved back to Denver. My sister-in-law worked at a Fortune 50 company in telecommunications. She got me a job there. So I started to work, and I hated the job. I was stuck in a cubicle, and I was in sales. And even though I did well, I couldn't seem to move up. I didn't know how to play the political game. And I was still miserable inside with a low self-image and depressed, suicidal at many times because of my life. It was by chance I went to a stock market seminar. It was held in Denver, and I got excited about making money. I was already in debt, but I ended up training with this company, and I wanted to learn it so bad. I quit my job and I ended up moving to Seattle, Washington. I lived above the building of the traders. I eventually got a job with them and learned how to trade the stock market even better. As I made more money, they asked me to speak for them. I began to travel the world as a speaker, and I began to make really good money as a trader and a speaker. And then I led to other success. I got to share the stage with billionaire Jim Rogers in Asia. I even was asked to join Damon John's success team to teach his entrepreneurs about business and marketing and branding. And I traveled the world representing other brands. And although the money was coming in and I was making more and more money, I still in myself was not super happy, and I was still depressed. But I felt very good that now I had the money to help my mom and my brother. I took my brother to Europe, all expenses paid. And my mom was diagnosed with cancer in 2000. I remember my grandma died of the same disease within 1 year of diagnosis. I didn't want my mom to die, so I spent my time and my money studying cancer to try to keep her alive. And I found out that the Western medical system was not about curing anybody, it was a money machine. So we went a different route. And I spent 5 years in tremendous work and study of cancer to help my mom live. And I knew her time would come and she would pass. I wanted to make her life amazing and have her live like a rock star, just like I promised when I was a little boy. So I sent her and her best friend Lori to Hawaii. I had a limo waiting for them. I put them up in a nice hotel overlooking the water for 10 nights. I gave her money and we battled cancer. And after 6 years, my mother passed away in my arms. But before she passed, she looked at me and said, Vince, I screwed up my life. I wasn't a good mom. I want a do-over. And as she passed away, I realized I did not want to have that be my story. I wanted my life to mean something and to know that it had value. And as this happened, my life that I had built started to collapse. I lost my mom. I lost my dad. I lost all my money in the real estate collapse. I ended up being broke. And a friend of mine that I had lived with, or close to anyway, in Orlando, he had lost everything too. And he had called me a few years later and told me he was the CEO of an ashram, a yoga institute in the forest. He knew I was broke and he said, you can come live for free. You'll have to work 6 hours a day, but you'll be trained at the feet of a living master in yoga. I had nothing to lose, so I went on this journey and lived in the forest with other people, learning yoga and yoga nidra. I thought I had lost it all. I thought the universe or God had taken it all from me. What I found was that when I lost it all, I gained it all. The entire thing I was chasing outside of myself, all the money was not making me happy because everything I was seeking was not out there. It was inside of me. I learned that I am the value I had been searching for. I am the wealth I've been looking for, and so are you. As I did the work and got certified in yoga, nidra, and yoga, and learned from this 86-year-old living master, I knew I was different. I thought all my life was shit, but I realized that all the shit I was in my life was simply the fertilizer of my soul and of my growth. When I left this forest, I was different. Instead of chasing money, opportunity began to chase me. I moved from thinking to feeling and from doing to being. And I was able to teach from a different place, this time with authenticity, this time elevated emotions, connecting with my heart, connecting with people, sharing who I am, and helping them to understand that their success is not coming from external, but from internal work. It's an inside job. Helping them to understand that their health, their abundance, their relationships all start from the inside out. And it's in doing that that I realized my greatest gift to the world would be to start my own business, authentic elevation, a coaching business, to help people to align and to elevate and to live authentic lives and to take back their power. Because I knew that if I could impact lives, each life impacted makes a difference, and each life impacted will impact the world. So this is why I became a coach, and this is why I want to become more effective so that I could spread this value to the world to make a difference in people's lives and the lives of their family. And that's why I do what I do.